Hey, what is going on, guys? It's DK. Back at you with another video here to the 5-game NBA main slate on Monday. Before I get into the video, if you guys are new to the channel, my name's DK. I make daily videos breaking down NBA, NFL, PGA, and esports, daily fantasy sports slates. Guys, I want to thank you again for the continued support. We now hit over 7,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is just crazy. So if you guys do enjoy this content, would really appreciate it if you leave a like button on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you don't upload videos you don't want to go live. Also, if you guys cannot watch these videos, I do upload an Apple Podcast. The link is in the description below. It's the DK DFS show. If you guys are interested in signing up for premium content, I now offer that at patreon.com. You guys can check out the packages I offer, link down below. And finally, I want to thank Prize Picks for sponsoring the show. If you guys are not familiar with Prize Picks, it's a site you can bet on player projections. So, for example, the late game is not started yet, but LeBron is projected for 50 fantasy points. So do you like the under? Do you like the over there? If you guys want to sign up, you can use the code DKDFS. It's DKDFS, all one word, also linked down below. You can get a 100% match up to $100. So if you put $100 in, you get $200 to play with. It's kind of a win-win. And it's a little different way to go about DFS, where you're not really playing against anyone. You're playing against the house. So with that all out of the way, let's jump into the video. Before we talk about players and the prices, let's look back my lineup here from Sunday. And Sunday, NBA at least, oh boy, crazy with news. So if you guys are new to NBA DFS, you have to stay on top of things. I literally, after I streamed, I went for a quick 10-minute walk. I come back and I see Joel Embiid out, and I have 5 minutes left. So I got to run to my phone and change. I made some swaps. I got Dwight Howard in there. I got Tobias Harris in there. Unfortunately, this is so tilting. Tobias, low ownership, 41 fantasy points, and getting blown out. Not going to play in the fourth quarter. I mean, almost guaranteed. Dwight Howard, get him at low ownership, a value play. Picks up 4 fouls in 10 minutes. That's really cool. Really happy about that. And then, unfortunately, we didn't get the cat ruled out news until after. I would have 100% played Naz Reid over Dwight Howard. But, again, we didn't get that news until after. So, just a crazy night of news. A lot of chalk busts, too. The Spurs, DeMar DeRozan, at least in this $75 tournament, he was 50% owned. He busted. Eric Bledsoe was pretty popular in this one. He busted. It was kind of interesting night. Raul Neto smashed. I did not expect that. I'm not going to lie. What I expected from Raul Neto was about 20-ish minutes, and for him to be, okay value to allow me to get the other studs in my lineup. But he absolutely smashed. That was really surprising. I'm not going to lie. And then, Biyombo for value was solid. Again, he was one of the safest value plays on the board. I used Steph Curry, actually somewhat low ownership, and then LeBron and Montrez. What I'm worried about, though, is with Karl-Anthony Towns ruled out, I now think this game has a very good chance to blow out. So it's just one of those days where just crazy news comes out after lock. And like I said, you got to stay on top of this stuff because that stuff will happen for NBA. Tobias Harris, Ben Simmons, and Dwight Howard were 3 of the top plays of the slate. It's just unfortunate they're going to get blown out. So Tobias isn't going to come back in. But yeah, that's kind of it for the look back, guys. Hope you guys had a good night. And again, just goes to show you have to stay on top of the news all night long. NBA DFS is not for the weak-minded. It's a grind. You cannot take break. You cannot put your phone down for an hour. No, you got to keep I check every 10 minutes just to make sure there's no news. But yeah, that's really it, guys. So let's talk about this 5-game slate. We have 3 of the 5 games out right now. Pistons, Hawks, it's a 225 over under. The Hawks are 9-point favorites. We have Jazz with Thunder, 221 over under. The Jazz are 7.5-point favorites. And Rockets, Nuggets, a 225 over under. The Nuggets are 7.5-point favorites. There's a good amount of injuries on this slate, so let's talk about center first. And at the top, Anthony Davis is out tonight. We'll see if he's available tomorrow. If he is not available tomorrow, then same guys in play for the Lakers. LeBron and the guys in the mid-range with Kuzma, with Schroeder, with Harrell, all would look pretty good play. So got to monitor that news. If he does play, I think he's a decent play himself in a good matchup against Portland. Now, Nikola Jokic at 9.8K against Houston. This is a really good matchup. Houston, we know, is very thin. They're still going to have a 9-man rotation. He should be able to have his way against Christian Wood. Christian Wood, a good offensive player, not a good defender. Jokic, again, should play high 30s minutes. I think he's one of the better spend ups of the slate. Love the matchup for him. He's been stuffed in the stat sheet, but playing really well. So I do like him a good amount. I think Jonas Valanciunas, kind of more in the mid-range for center, is a nice play. Minutes haven't been great in him, 30 and 29, but he's never a guy that's going to play the huge minutes. The offense with no Triple J, it runs through Jonas Valanciunas, and matchup for him, like he should be able to have his way with DeAndre Jordan or Jarrett Allen. So I think JV is an interesting kind of contrarian play in the mid-range. John Collins at 7'6". He's been in some foul trouble in actually both games so far he's played. So he's only played 18 and 27 minutes. We do have Clint Capella back, which does take a hit to him. So right now he's more of a contrarian play for me. Again, Montrezl Harrell is priced up to 7.5. So the only way I have interest in Montrezl Harrell is if Anthony Davis is out. If Anthony Davis is in, I'm not paying 7.5 for Montrezl. And I do want to see what the rotations look like tonight. Like, does Montrezl play any at the 4? We'll see. So at the moment, I think he's a fine option if Anthony Davis is out. If Anthony Davis is in, I don't have a ton of interest there. Rudy Gobert's at 7.4K. He's played about 30 minutes a game. He's been solid recently. Or last couple games, 46 and 43 fantasy points. Oklahoma City is undersized. Like Al Horford's undersized. Like Mike Muscala, Gobert should be able to feast down low, rebounding the ball. So I actually think he's a nice play in the mid-range at center. Christian Wood, I like a good amount, 7.2K. Played 44 minutes. Again, that game went to overtime, so 39 minutes. But like I said, they are so shorthanded. He's going to have to play big minutes as long as he can stay out of foul trouble. The offense, it's running through Wood. It's running through Harden. So I really like both. Again, that being Wood, that being Harden. Blake Griffin and Derrick Rose have already been ruled out for Detroit, so we can definitely get some value there. We'll talk about them in a sec. Nurkic is at 6.8K. He played 35 minutes the last game. Now, again, overtime, so only 30 in regulation, but that's good to see. If he's going to play minutes like about 30 plus, I think he's a nice play in the mid-range, a guy that can stuff the stat sheet. Yeah, Nurkic is also someone I like. Centers, there's a lot of solid plays. Like even Al Horford, he's power forward center eligible, but he played 30 minutes the last game, had a bad game for his standards, but 30 minutes for Al Horford, he can definitely get it done even in a tough spot. So I think he's a viable play. Clint Capella's at 5.9K, probable. Got to monitor the news. If he's full go, no limitations, I actually think he's a nice play in the mid-range. If they're going to limit him, then I'll probably stay away. So this will be something to keep an eye on as far as news. I don't really want to take the shot on Allen versus DeAndre Jordan. I just don't think it's necessary. Now, Mason Plumlee at 5.7. I know it feels like a lot to pay for Mason Plumlee, but I think he's firmly in play. No Blake Griffin. Jahlil Okafor status up in the air too. So he might be forced to play like 35 minutes in this one in a good matchup. So sure, the price is up, but I still think he's firmly in play. Millsap was the chalk bust on Christmas. He was like 80% owned in the high dollar stuff. It was just because of the minutes, right? He played 36 minutes that first game. Well, only played 22 because of foul trouble. That last game did not come back in. So now we're getting back to the old Millsap from last year, right? Is he going to play 20 minutes? Is he going to play 35? Well, I don't know. It's Mike Malone. So a little riskier now with Millsap there at that price. Again, with Jordan and Allen, I don't really have interest there. Other options, like Tucker's viable just because of the minutes. He's not a high-usage guy, but he'll play high 30. He played 38 minutes in regulation, 43 in overtime. I think he's a decent value play, but not someone who's really gonna break the slate. Markieff Morris, I'm interested to see what his minutes are tonight. He played 19 and 15 the first couple games. I think he's possible value. I'm interested to see how many minutes he plays tonight with no Anthony Davis. I would guess like 20 to 25. Again, he's a decent offensive player. So, yeah, potential value there with Markieff if, in fact, Anthony Davis is out. Now, Enes Kanter's at 4.3. You kind of know what you're getting out of him. Like I would say about 20 minutes backing up Nurkic. He's a decent point per minute guy, so more of a GPP play there. I just don't want to play Marc Gasol even at that price. And that's kind of it. So center is pretty loaded. You can tell, like, I went through a lot of the center plays, and I like a good amount of the guys. Like, again, Jokic at the top. JV kind of in the mid-range. Montrezl, dependent on AD news. But, we have Gobert, I think, is underpriced. I like Christian Wood just because they're so thin. Nurkic played 30 minutes in regulation. Horford's not a bad play. Play about 30 minutes. Oklahoma City is a team that's not super talented. Mason Plumlee with all those guys out for Detroit. So, yeah, there's a decent amount of good center plays at the moment. I think right now it's kind of looking like a two-center build for me at least. Let's move on to power forward. So Kevin Durant at below 9K against Memphis. I think this is just a misprice. I think he's probably one of the best spend-ups at the slate, if not the best. That's just way too cheap. He should play, 35 or so minutes in a close game. Matchup's fantastic. Love KD at this price. He is, again, really, really good play at the top. Again, no Blake Griffin. We'll get to some of the more value guys from Detroit. MPJ at 6.5. You can say the same thing about Millsap. Minutes, 30, 23. I think he's just more of a GPP play for me. Like for Denver, I just feel more comfortable getting up to Jokic or a guy Jamal Murray, who we'll get to in a bit. Kuzma, same thing I'll say about Harrell, right? Got him out of the stats of Anthony Davis. If Anthony Davis plays, I have no interest in Kuzma. If Anthony Davis is out, I think Kuzma is definitely in play. Curious to see how many minutes he plays tonight, though. So, yeah, that's kind of a wait-and-see approach. Now, Jeremy Grant at 5'9", with no Blake Griffin, no Derrick Rose, he should kind of be the number one in the offense. Good matchup here. Price under 6K. I think he is definitely in play in the mid-range. Again, Detroit is pretty short-handed. I do like Darius Bazley. I've been hammering this home since the preseason. He's going to have a breakout year. He's a very, very talented player. 33 minutes at 36 fantasy points. Now, price came up. Matchup not necessarily the best here against the Jazz, but I think he still makes for an interesting contrarian play. Other options at power forward. So we have news that Carmelo Anthony is already ruled out. So guys like Robert Covington, guys like Derrick Jones Jr., these guys get a boost. Covington played 21 minutes in the first game, 38 in the last. I think he's someone probably get somewhere in between that. Both no Carmelo Anthony, should be more minutes for Covington, should be more minutes for Derrick Jones Jr. I think those guys are decent punt options. Kyle Anderson's at 5'1". He's actually been pretty consistent. 30 minutes and 36 minutes, 22, 45 fantasy points. Would not expect that again. I think he might be a little bit over-owned. And normally, again, Kyle Anderson is not a super high usage guy. So this one, a little iffy on. I think people might chase it. I don't think it's a terrible play, but minutes have been there for him. Let's see. Other options at power forward. Daniel House, you kind of know what you're getting out of him. The minutes will be there. He's just dependent on the scoring. I played him last night. It was super tilting because he played so many minutes and still only had 18 fantasy points. But I know what I'm getting into. He's not a guy that's going to rebound the ball a ton or get a lot of assists. He's going to stay in the corner, and he's got to hit his threes. So the minutes will be there for House. I think he's a fine option. But again, reliant on the scoring. A guy like Jason Tate, he played the most out of those value guys. He played 37 minutes. I think he probably looks the safest just going off those minutes from last game. And we have Nwaba, we have Sterling Brown, who we'll talk about. But yeah, Tate's actually someone I think you can look to for a value option if you need someone super cheap. And that probably wraps it up, I think, for power forwards. Let's move on to small forward. And LeBron at the top depends on AD news. If AD plays, I think LeBron's a fine option. If AD misses, I think LeBron's a really good option here at 10K. So just got to monitor that news. LeVert, so Dinwiddie went down, did not return. I think LeVert, there's a chance he might start. So we'll see if he is inserted in the starting lineup. That is a minutes boost for him. And again, he's a decent point per minute guy anyway. So I think he would become a lot better of a play if he does in fact start. Other options, small forward, we already mentioned a couple of these guys. Again, Dillon Brooks, you kind of know what you're getting with him. Same thing, I'll say. He's very reliant on his scoring, right? So if a shot is not falling, he's not going to do a ton other than score the ball. 5.5K is a fair price. He can go out and get you 40 if he's shooting well, but he can also go out and get you 10 if a shot is not falling. Let's see. Other options like Gary Harris at 4.5. Did only play 22 minutes the last game. I mean, I don't think we have to do it on this slate. Now, Josh Jackson is a pretty interesting play here. So played 29 minutes the first game, only 19 the second game, but with no Blake Griffin and no Derrick Rose, someone is going to have to step up for this Detroit team. There's not a lot of talent on this roster. Josh Jackson should have to do a lot more. I think he's firmly in play for value. Minutes should go up for him. So yeah, I think he is actually a pretty nice value play there. Then, yeah, I mentioned Derrick Jones Jr. with no Melo. He played 36 minutes that last game. Not a super high usage guy, but the minutes should be there for him. They should be there for Covington. I think they're fine options. With Sterling Brown and David Nwaba, right? Sterling Brown only played 20 minutes off the bench. I think he's an okay play. Probably would prefer Tate just off what we saw that last game. Same thing with Nwaba. Nwaba started, played 27 minutes. Tate did play the most out of these guys. So we'll see what they do with the starting lineup if they change it. But based off that last game, I think Tate's the guy you can feel the most comfortable with as far as value. And then let's move on to shooting guards. So Harden at the top, 11-2, even at this price, I think is a great option. I mean, people are saying, oh, we're going to fade James Harden. He's out of shape. They're going to get blown out. 80 fancy points for James Harden. How'd that work out for you? No, but yeah, seriously, Harden is a guy that, I mean, besides him and Christian Wood, there's no offensive power on this team. So if they're going to stay in this game, it's going to be because of a big game from Harden, a big game from Christian Wood. Really like them both, even in a tougher spot. It's just, where the offense is coming from. And the minutes are huge for both. Both played high 30s minutes. Really like Harden. Really like Wood is spent up. There is some risk, right? There is some blowout risk. If you look at the Vegas odds, it's a 7.5 point spread. So, yeah, there is a chance. But I think they're two of the better spend ups at this slate, that being Harden and Wood once again. CJ had a big game last game. Again, it did go to overtime. Price went up a bit. I'll probably pass. I'll let others chase that. Donovan Mitchell's a fine play at 7.6, but am I going to prioritize him like a guy like Harden at the top? Probably not. Guys in the mid-range, Barton's fine off the bench, but not super appealing at that price. Schroeder's at 6.1. Again, dependent on Anthony Davis news, I'll say. If Anthony Davis is out, Schroeder looks like one of the better plays in the mid-range. If Anthony Davis plays, I think he's just a fine option. So got to monitor that news. Again, Dinwiddie out. So I think LeVert, there's a chance he, gets inserted to the starting lineup. We'll see. Or they insert one, like a value guy who, we'll see what they do with the starting lineup. If they insert someone like someone cheap, then they're obviously a possible value play. They have Shamet, they have, Torian Prince, TLC. We'll see what they do with the starting lineup. They could insert someone else, but if Caris LeVert gets put into the starting lineup, I think he looks a lot better there at 6.6K, just because I can expect more minutes from him. Let's see. Other options, like Clark's out the bench, you know what you're getting out of him. He'll play about 25 or so minutes. He's a high usage guy off the bench. Is he necessary at this price? Probably not. I think there's probably better value plays to go with. Now, DeLon Wright is very intriguing. 19 minutes the first game, 42 the second. Now, sure, the game went to double overtime, so only 32 minutes, but still, he is a pretty talented offensive player. Someone is going to have to score the ball for this Detroit team. So I think this is where you guys want to get your value, right? No Blake, no Derrick Rose. We'll go over Detroit at the end, but I think getting a couple pieces of Detroit is a good idea and a really, really good matchup. Now, George Hill was a guy I was all over for value. Last slate, it was kind of low owned. It went for 34 fantasy points to 3.4K. He absolutely smashed. Now, the worry is only 24 minutes. So if they're going to kind of limit him to only like 25 minutes, does make him riskier. The matchup, again, isn't great. So Hill's not out of play, but he wasn't as good of a play as he was that last slate. Other options, Grayson Allen's been starting, been getting okay minutes, but again, kind of reliant on the scoring. I don't think he's the worst value play, but not someone I'm super, super excited about. All right, let's finish up with point guard today, guys. So, mentioned Harden, again, one of the top spin-ups of the slate. Lillard, more of a contrarian option at 10.3, can still get you there, but we'll just rather get to Harden for a little bit more. Again, mentioned LeBron. Now, Trae Young is actually a decent or an interesting contrarian play, GPP play, because I think people will gravitate towards Harden at the top. Obviously, some other plays we went over. I don't know if Trae Young's going to be super popular, and there is actually some blowout risk here too, right? Detroit is missing a couple of their main pieces, but Trae Young has a good amount of upside. He's had over 50 fantasy points in back-to-back games. I think he's definitely in play here at that price. Now, Kyrie, again, him and KD seem underpriced. I do like the price a little bit better on KD. He's $400 cheaper, but both firmly in play in a great matchup. This game you can definitely stack, right? Well, Kyrie, KD, and then, Ja Morant. I'm really, really high on Ja Morant this year. I've been hammering that down since the preseason. He is going to break out this year, if not already. He really has been fantastic in the first couple games he's played. 66, 44 fantasy points. Brooklyn is not a very good defensive team. Ja Morant, again, you know where the offense is coming from. He should play 35 minutes or so. I don't know if he's going to be super popular, but I really like Ja again here at 8.3K. SGA at 8K, that seems priced about right. He is their number one in the offense. He had 46 fantasy points the last game, but that was in a better matchup. This is not necessarily the best spot, so more of a contrarian play for me. Again, those Houston guys still out with John Wall, with Boogie, with Eric Gordon. Jamal Murray actually is a nice play in the mid-range, 34 and 37 minutes. Minutes will be there for him. He struggled shooting the ball the first game, but had 36 in the second game. Again, it is a good matchup, and if you kind of want to game stack this one, I think that also looks intriguing with like Harden and Wood and want to run it back with either Jokic or Jamal Murray. Mike Conley, you know what you're getting out of Mike Conley. 30 to 35 minutes. Not a guy with a ton of upside. I think he's just a fair play for his price. Mentioned Schroeder already. We talked about some of the Detroit value guys. And Killian Hayes at 4.2. Hasn't been playing a ton of minutes. 21 and 20 minutes. But minutes should go up with Derrick Rose out. So let's finish it up, guys, with Detroit, and then we can get out of here. So again, Detroit I think is key, getting this team right. So no Blake Griffin, no Derrick Rose. You're going to want exposure to Detroit. Jeremy Grant, Mason Plumlee should play over 30 minutes of this game stays close. I think both are fine options, even at their respective prices. I do like DeLon Wright, too, in the starting lineup. He is a good offensive player. He should have to be a lot more aggressive now with those two out of the lineup. I think DeLon Wright makes for a nice play at that price. I like Josh Jackson off the bench at 4.2. He's a good offensive player, so I like him for value. Killian Hayes is okay, but I probably feel more comfortable with DeLon Wright with Josh Jackson, to be honest. Just off what we've seen, Killian Hayes has kind of struggled to start the year. And then, value from here, we'll see about Jahlil Okafor. If he's out and Plumlee gets in some foul trouble, they might go to Isaiah Stewart, the rookie, but that would just be a super contrarian play. Svi Mikhailuk probably does get some more run, but he's more reliant on the scoring. So really for Detroit, again, for me, it's, Jeremy Grant, Mason Plumlee kind of mid-range. I do like DeLon Wright and Josh Jackson. Those are probably my two favorite value plays for Detroit. But then there's, you have Killian Hayes, we have Svi Mikhailuk. They're going to be pretty shorthanded. So Detroit's a team I want for value. They probably look the best at the moment. But that's going to do it for the video today, guys. So if you have been enjoying the content so far, I'd really appreciate it if you leave a like button on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you don't upload videos you don't go live. As always, I'll be doing a free live stream for this 5-game slate. I'll announce it on Twitter when I do go live. But yeah, thanks again. I hope you guys all have a great day, and I will see you all tomorrow.